you give us your name and the name of your movie?
Yeah, my name is Anthony DeFeo. I wrote, directed, and executive produced Bummer. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Of course, thank you for coming here.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. So for Bummer, what was one piece of advice you've gotten like from just your whole process of filmmaking that you've applied to this one?
Ooh, there were a lot. I had to ask a lot of people a lot of questions. A fun one that sticks in my mind was I had the privilege of working with Rusty Smith, who is the production designer for many things, among them Soul Surfer, the movie about oh man, now I'm forgetting her name. But the girl who got her arm bit off by a shark and then went on to still be a surfer. Anyhow, and I was having lunch with him one day at work, and I asked him what was the most difficult part about shooting on the beach in Hawaii, and he said the wind. The wind. They showed up one day and the wind had torn down everything they built the day before. So I kept that in mind. And we didn't have a set on the beach. We did, but it wasn't there overnight or anything like that. So what it really meant mostly was that we went out of our way to get a lot of extra sandbags and make sure everything was weighed down and always had people watching stuff. And it helped. The wind did really pick up. We were shooting at Bolsa Chica State Beach. And yeah, it gets pretty breezy down in Huntington. And that was a great piece of advice because the desert is just, I'm sorry, the beach is just the desert with water.
Exactly.
You know, so it's really hostile. It's really unpleasant unless it's not. You know, the beach is great, but it's unpleasant for filming.
Yeah.
So we had to make it safe. That was a great piece of advice. For sure.
Getting a little bit deeper into like the unpleasant parts of filmmaking, what would you say was the most difficult part about this whole process?
It's the water shots. Our DP, Ross Ward, is great. He's a good friend of mine. He did a lot of research into how other films have shot in water, and a big way that they do it, especially with scenes like this, for example, like Point Break. You've got jet skis. You got jet skis out of the water. And I'm not sure how they do this with Point Break, but with sequences in the water were achieved by building like a dock out into the ocean, and then having like the camera hard line to monitor, and you have your diversity C and your whole viewability team up on this dock, and you can run like a physical cable out to the camera and have it track along the dock. I mean, we couldn't do that. So what we had to do instead was put a camera set to autofocus in a waterproof housing that we dunked a bunch of times in the water, and then just kind of shoot wide. And that was why we had like the fewest shots in days. We really wanted to eat countless days, and then also we were in water over our heads with a lifeguard out there with us, and they had you're kind of just like at the mercy of the tide. And so you're positioning your actors means swimming, getting ready immediately, and then rolling. And sometimes they would just drift out of the frame. You couldn't do anything about that. You'd have to just go back and reset. Those days were hard. We were swimming for like 10 hours each day. And then we weren't done. We didn't want to shoot after that. And the very last day, we were all really wiped, but very grateful to be inside. It changed the thing. That was the hardest part. Sure.
Yeah. So when it comes to your actors, how was the casting process for that? For you, like picking, all right, who's gonna come in here and get dunked with me?
I know, that was a tough one. A big part of that process was a final callback where we had the actors we had narrowed down to come to the beach and go surfing with me and the DP, which was really cool. There were a couple of actors who we ultimately didn't cast who also did this, so I have to give a lot of credit to the actors in general who were brave enough to be like, here's this random dude, I'm gonna be in his movie, he's telling me to come to the beach at 7 a.m. and like go swimming. The people who were like answered the call and did that were very, very dedicated, very cool. And that was a big part of the process was that. And that was fun. And yeah, that was a big part of the casting process. Beyond that, we used Backstage. So thanks to Backstage for offering a lot of options to us.
Yeah.
Especially casting during the era of COVID restrictions. You know, there's not a lot of in-person casting calls, and they made it really easy for us.
Nice.
That was very cool.
All right. And for sorry, I'm like.
No, it's okay. Go for it.
Hunter, cut that.
That won't make it to the end. It's
No. All right. Oh, speaking of this one movie, what possessed you to make this specific movie?
Yeah. The ocean possessed me. You know, Poseidon. Thanks, Jimmy Buffett. Thank you. Yeah, a couple of my friends in New York. I always wanted to learn how to surf. I'm from New York. I'm from Long Island. There is ocean. Yeah. I had always wanted to learn to surf when I was a kid, and I never did. A couple of my friends picked it up after college. I never thought I really could do it. I thought I was too old at that point. Like, probably learning muscle memory. People who learn when they were a kid would argue that's correct. You know, but my friends who were brave enough to just try it without knowing anything about the sport, brought me into it, and I learned to surf in New York, and it, gave me back a lot of confidence. It introduced me to something that I thought I really couldn't do that I actually could. And a lot of that confidence got channeled into moving to Los Angeles in my career in production design. So that was really, really cool. So I think I wanted to pay tribute to that. I wanted to share this experience. And I wanted to go to the beach for work.
Yeah.
So I got to do all this. Nice.
All right. When it comes to like criticism, what's one criticism you're glad you didn't listen to?
That it was too ambitious. For what it's worth, it was very ambitious.
Yeah.
And we were over our heads, like, and physically too, like, cause the water is deep. But you know, I guess at a point, you do just have to go try some. And like, you know, you give it your best, you still have that. And the movie is not perfect what we set out to make. And by perfect, I mean, you know, it's not every line for line was good. It's not every shot that we wrote in. Characters changed in the cutting room floors and so forth. But it is a bummer. It is what it was meant to be. Yeah. And we were feeling that from the beginning. With setbacks from the beginning, that was something we talked about on day one. That no matter what we had to plan, there we were doing it. That was the project. And I'm very glad that we didn't let anything ultimately stop us. That was cool.
Nice.
It's a hard thing to do with a bunch of people. Some of them were losers. That was really cool. So I'm very grateful to my cast and my crew, and all of our those supporters, everybody, wrote the crowdfunding, gave me advice. They're all great. Really great people. Thanks for having my back. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, since we're talking about it, do you want to give anyone a shout out? And is there anywhere we can find you on social media?
Yeah, I am on Instagram at the DeFeo Kid. DeFeo's my last name. And Anthony DeFeo Design. Do I want to give shout out to anyone in particular? There are many people to thank.
And what is your social media handle?
Totally. Okay. My social media handle, I'm on Instagram at the DeFeo Kid and Anthony DeFeo Design. My shout out would be there are many people who gave a lot of time and effort to this project and a lot of advice and a lot of help, and it's really cool. And I'm grateful to all of them. But because we're here at the Poppy Jasper International Film Festival, I want to thank Mahesh Madhav, one of our executive producers, for telling me about this project, for his support of Bummer, and because it was on his suggestion that we submitted to Poppy Jasper, and as a result, we're here. And he's got another film in the festival that he executive produced called Memory Swim, and I saw that this morning, and it's fantastic. And yeah, thank you, Mahesh, for your support and your suggestions, and for being a part of this and us here. But
nice.
Yeah, that's what I got.